You've been looking for a sign to make that big decision, but you're unsure if it's the right time and if that's what you really should do. And you possibly think that's what this video is. This video is going to be a sign that you need to make that big decision and you need to change your life. And though I hope this video will help with that, this actually is not the sign. See, the sign was when you were crying in your bed at night. See, the sign was when you look back on your life and you realize you didn't have any achievements or you didn't have anything you were proud of. See, the sign was when you woke up one day and you said, wait, I don't even have a real career. The sign was when you first decided that you wanted to make that change, but you didn't. You're waiting for the perfect time. You're waiting for the perfect sign. You're waiting for that video, that person to confirm to you what you already know. But in this video, I'm going to actually give you the action steps so you actually can change your life. This is a part 2 to my part 1 video when I talked about waking up one day and realizing that you have no achievements. You have no career. You feel like you've wasted your 20s, possibly even your 30s. And you're like, I don't know what to do with my life and I feel lost. If you haven't already checked out video 1, I definitely recommend to check that out. I will link that one below. But this one is video 2. This one is about the action steps that you are going to take when you are trying to essentially rebuild your life and you are essentially trying to get ahead in life when you feel like you've possibly wasted a lot of years. So let's get straight into it. For the first step, we're going to be completely honest with each other. A major reason why you feel like you're not where you want to be in life is because you are not making the money that you want to make. Let's be completely honest. I'm not going to give you guys all this motivational stuff about you need to do this and you need to journal. You need to make money. It is key to survival. And if you want to talk about the mindset more, this is a part 2. The part 1 of this video definitely does talk about that. But these are the action steps. And one of the first action steps you need to do is make sure you are taking care of your survival. You will not feel calm. You will not have peace until your basic survival needs are met. And you need to make a certain amount of money to make sure that you are covering all of those basic survival needs. So the first category I'm going to talk to you about is called learn before you earn. Now, there's a theory that I want to talk to you about called the human capital theory, and I'm going to explain it to you a little bit more, the definition of it, but it was actually coined by a Nobel Prize winning economist by the name of Gary Becker. Now, this is so imperative to learn because nowadays there's so many get rich quick plans. There's so many ways to make money. There's so many different things you can do, and it's just this money chase. I want to chase money. I want to chase money. But then there's a lot of individuals that's like, I just don't know why I don't have money. I don't see how these people are making all this money and why I'm not making this money. Like it must be something wrong with me. It actually possibly is. And let me explain it to you with the human capital theory. The human capital theory says this. You are not just a person, you are an asset. Just like a business invests in equipment to grow, you invest in yourself, your knowledge, your mindset, and your skills. Every time you learn something new, you're increasing your value in the marketplace, even if the money doesn't show up right away. So, Becker coined this theory because he noticed that individuals who spent more time learning skills earlier in their life, even if at the time they were making less money than their peers and a lot of other people around them, they were going to make at least 2 times the amount over time in the course of their life than individuals that did not use their earlier years or honestly didn't use any time to learn skills. I want you to think of yourself as an asset when you are applying to jobs, when you are trying to make more money. I want you to ask yourself, if you were a job manager, if you were hiring, people to do a job, what job would you hire yourself for? What job? What job do you think that you would be skilled at that someone would say they will hire you for? And then I want you to ask yourself, on average of what you think that pay would be, do you think you can survive off that pay? See, a lot of individuals don't realize the reason why you can't make more money is because you are not an asset. The reason why you can't make more money is because you don't even know why you would hire you. You don't even know what you would hire yourself for. And so the first thing I want you to do, and I'm going to give you 3 examples of individuals who made themselves assets, is you need to gain skills. You need to gain skills. So even when somebody low-key even want to fire you from a job, they got to think twice about it. See, a lot of times people don't realize when you work in these jobs that people can learn in a week or two, when you learn in these jobs, people can learn in a month, they can just go in a circle of hiring and firing, hiring and firing. When you have a job that you've learned skills for, when you have a job that somebody can't just pick up an average Joe on the street and have them work that job, that is when you're an asset. That is when people need you. And let me give you 3 examples of individuals who made themselves assets and made themselves literal millionaires and billionaires with doing it. So the first one is going to be Mr. Tyler Perry. So what did he do before earning? He wrote and self-funded his first play, which only 30 people attended. He spent roughly 7 years touring low-budget stage plays, learning his audience, writing dialogue, perfecting characters like Medea. He failed repeatedly, but kept adjusting and studying what connected. So, what was the human capital that he gained from all of these experiences? He gained emotional intelligence. He got to understand his audience deeply. He gained skill writing plus business. He learned both creative and logistical aspects of writing scripts and just having a business and running it. He also learned resilience. He reframed failures as education over the 7 year period. What was the payoff of all of this? He was the first Black person to own a major studio. He built a $1 billion empire from stage plays that turned into movies, that turned into studios, then turned into streaming. A quote he said was, "The key to success is education, not necessarily college, but learning everything you can." The takeaway? Tyler Perry shows that informal learning over time, especially paired with grit, is capital. Sophia Amorosa, the founder of Nasty Girl and Girl Boss. What did she do before earning? She worked odd jobs, Subway, bookstores, things like that, but felt disconnected and didn't stay long. At the age of 22, she started an eBay store called Nasty Gal Vintage, selling thrifted clothes. She taught herself photography, Photoshop, copywriting, and styling, and how to ship and market online. She worked for free or minimum profit in the beginning just to learn. What was the human capital that she built? Photography and styling, because she took her own product photos and style models. She learned marketing and branding. She created edgy descriptions and a unique voice for her brand. She learned e commerce management. She learned eBay systems, customer service, shipping. She learned trend spotting. So she understood what young women wanted and wanted to see online. What was the payoff? Nasty Girl grew from an eBay shop to $100 million plus fashion brand in 10 years. She became one of the richest self made women under 30 on the Forbes list. She wrote Girl Boss, which became a New York Times bestseller and a Netflix series, and she built Girl Boss Media to help other entrepreneurs. She once said, "Abandon anything about your life and habits that might be holding you back. Learn to create your luck, step inside and possible." Sophia didn't start with formal education or money. She invested in her skills, creativity, and grit. The value she built in herself turned her thrift store into a hustle empire. Now, I can give you so many other individuals who did the same thing, from Mr. Beast to Issa Rae. These individuals became millionaires and billionaires by doing what? Investing in their skills. If you see, Tyler Perry spent 7 years on the road. If you heard Sophia, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Nasty Girl, but I really like their clothes. A little pricey, but they have cute clothes. She did this for 10 years. She learned how to Photoshop. She learned how to copyright. She learned how to do all these things. So when it was time to build a business, she knew exactly what her customer wanted. She knew exactly what she needed to do. The same thing with Tyler Perry. If you watch any Tyler Perry interviews or interviews of people who have worked with him as actors, they say he has the fastest turnaround time. He shoots an entire season for a show in like 2 weeks. Seriously, most people take months to do this, which is why he's always coming out with a new movie. He's always coming out with a new show, which is why he is literally a billionaire. I want you to understand these individuals acquired skills. You cannot just go on the street and pick up another Tyler Perry. You can't just go on the street and pick up another Sophia. And there's nowadays so many people chasing money, money, money. What can I do to get money? What can I do to get money? No, ask yourself, what can you do to gain skills? And so I'm going to give you action steps to do, but I really want you to start thinking about that. Stop always thinking about the money. Stop always thinking about how fast am I going to make the money and what money am I going to make? It's going to come when you acquire all these skills, when you build yourself up so high and so tall that nobody literally can do what you can do. People are going to have to pay you for that because they can't find it nowhere else. But as long as you just a dime a dozen, as long as people could pick up people with the same skills as you, with the same background as you, with everything the same thing as you, why would somebody pick to give you more money contrary to somebody else? I.e., why would you make more money? And so these are the action steps I want you to start doing to start doing the method of learning before you earn. First, I want you to find one free skill set that you can learn. This can be marketing, this can be coding, this can be Photoshop, whatever you can learn for free. Figure out a skill set that you can learn. Like I said, don't always think about money. Think about something that you possibly thought about doing, or think about something that you struggle with a little bit, but you feel like it will make your life easier if you knew how to do this thing. Or it could be something that you've never even got into, but you're just a little bit curious about and you kind of want to get into. But that's the first step. You need to think about a skill that you can learn for free. Don't think about, oh, what can I go to college and do? Or what course can I start? No, let's try to make it very cost effective so you're less likely to convince yourself that you can't do it right now. The next one is I'm going to need you to start spending 1 hour a day focusing on this thing. That can mean you are listening to podcasts, you are reading books, you are looking up PDFs, you are looking up YouTube videos. They call it YouTube University for a reason because you can learn just about anything on here. You need to figure out how you are going to spend this hour every single day gaining more knowledge in this specific field. It could be something where you're taking notes, it could be something where you're passively just listening, it could be something where you're reading. But you need to figure out, okay, I picked the skill. Now I need to spend at least 1 hour every single day learning and or gaining more knowledge about this specific skill. Next, you are going to look up free job trainings. This is great, especially if you are on any kind of government assistance. You are on food stamps, you are on WIC, anything like that. There's a lot of programs that they offer that will give you free job trainings in specific skills and often trades. So you can look up programs. I believe there's one called WIAO. So look up that one. Sorry, I had to think of that. There's another program they have which is sponsored by Goodwill. There's possibly some in your area, but literally look up free job trainings that teach so and so. There's some that they have that are online. There's also some that they have where you go to a specific class a certain amount of times a week. But look into doing those things. That's a big one. I think a lot of people do not capitalize on. A lot of people tell themselves, "Well, I can't learn a skill because I don't have the money for it, and I didn't come from money, and everybody think it's money, 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 money." To a certain extent, you do have to spend money to make money, but also there's a lot of free skills that you can learn. And like I said, you can go the route of YouTube University, learning yourself, doing it yourself. But if you're one of those people that's like, I learn better in a class setting, I learn better when I'm attending a class, but right now I just can't afford a traditional school, a traditional 4 year college, something like that, look into these programs. They're great. They focus a lot of the times on building specific trades and specific skills and things. But those are the three things that I want you to do because I don't want you to be so focused on money, money, money. I got to do everything to make money, money. I got to work more hours. I got to put in more work. No, we need to do the big jumps. We need things that are going to make us literally invincible. You need to start building a shield around yourself. Think about it like a money shield. Every single time you are doing something, you are depositing another dollar, you are depositing another coin into that fund. Every single thing you do is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Think 6 months ahead and not 6 years ahead. I don't think a lot of people understand how many things you stop prematurely because your brain literally feels like it's going to bust. First and foremost, you're trying to plan for a time period that you know nothing about. Like, think about how many business owners in 2019 were opening storefronts in 2020. Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna make all this money and I'm gonna have all this business and I'm investing all this money to put it into a shop that's gonna be in the middle of the city and everybody gonna go. And then the whole world shut down for like a year or some change. I want you to really think about that. The problem is when you think too far out, I'm not telling you to completely not think about a future, but too many people create their life based on a time period that they know nothing about. And it can become overwhelming for your brain. Telling your brain we have to work out for 6 months versus telling your brain we have to work out for 6 years is completely different. When you tell your brain we have to work out for 6 months, every single day matters because there's going to be a countdown. When you tell your brain you have to work out for 6 years, it's easy for you to be like, all right, we could do it tomorrow. I mean, we're going to do this for 6 years, so we could do it tomorrow. We could do it tomorrow. Stop trying to create a 10-year blueprint and literally create a 6 month plan that you can follow. Because I also want you to think about it. Imagine Tyler Perry. Imagine someone would have told him, yeah, you're going to be broke. You're going to be living in your car. You're going to be struggling, all this other stuff with, that play and everything. But after 7 years, you're going to start getting some traction. You're going to start getting some money. Do you think he would have done it if he knew how long it was going to take? There's so many people that see him now. He's a billionaire. He has all these shows. And they're like, oh, I would have did it. I would did it. But if you think about it, he could have done something else. Like, we hear it now and we hear what he's done with it. But if somebody would have told him, hey, it's going to take you 7 years to start getting traction, he might have said, well, I can go back to school. In 7 years, I can get a master's degree. In 7 years, I can move somewhere else and start a whole. Do I really want to waste 7 years doing this? And I'm sure every time he did a play, all he thought about was, I want to make this the best play. I want to focus on my audience. He focused on what he could control. He did not focus on 7 years ahead. He probably didn't even focus on 7 plays ahead, 7 series ahead. And so many people think, oh, I just need to think ahead, ahead, ahead. That's probably what's keeping you back. You're thinking too far out. You need to focus on the next 6 months. What can I do for 6 months? Too many people think, I can't change my life in 6 months. I can't. There's a lot that you could do in 6 months, but you wouldn't even know because you've never committed to nothing for 6 months. You keep trying to focus on that 10 years ahead. And so I'm going to give you some action steps you can do to actually start implementing the skills that I told you about, but actually implementing change within the next 6 months. The first one is, I want you to create a day in a life 6 months from now. The reason why it's so imperative for you to do 6 months from now is because the problem with us, going back to what I said, thinking too far ahead is when people create a lot of days in the life for the day of my dream life. It goes very imaginary. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. I'm going to go to Pilates. I'm going to hop in my G Wagon and have my matcha, all these other things. And I'm not saying you can't achieve those things, but it's very hard to control those things because you don't have any control over any of those things currently that are going on in your life right now. Like, can you control that G Wagon? Can you control where you live in? Can you control all that other stuff that you're putting on the life that you want to have, your dream life? You can't control those things. Those things are very imaginary, not impossible, but they're still a dream. So let's create a day in the life of who you are now. That's another problem that too many people have. When you think of your dream life, you always leave you behind. You think about all the habits that you're going to do that's going to be completely different from how you are now. You think about how your body's going to look completely from different how you are now. The habits that you're going to have completely different from the habits you have now. But you don't realize you need the current you to bring you to the future you. They need to come together. They need to have an agreement. That's why you keep on being held back, because the current you is like, baby, we 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 want to go in the future. We want to do these things, but like, you still need us. And you so focusing on the dream me and the dream woman and the dream habits. And the current you is like, okay, well, when we gonna start? And you like, no, 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 I don't want you, I don't want to bring you here. I'm embarrassed. Stop being embarrassed of the person that you are now and focus on building that person up. So create a day in the life for yourself 6 months from now. Why is this great? Because 6 months from now, no matter what habits you implement today, you're roughly going to be making the same amount of money. You're roughly going to be working in the same job. You're roughly going to be living in the same place. And I want you to understand, you still can create a dream day in a life having all those things and wanting more. So do that for yourself. What time are you going to be waking up? You still got to go to work. What are you going to be doing? Are you going to be working out? What time you going to be working out? Because you still got to focus on that skill. Like, I get you want to become your dream woman, but at the same time, don't forget that you need to first start with the person that you are now. So do that 6 months from now. What is a day in the life for yourself? An ideal day in the life 6 months from now. The next one is, pick one goal for the next 90 days. So think of a basic goal that you want to achieve. And I think I would personally go back to the skill set. I want to have a basic understanding of coding. I want to have a basic understanding of marketing. Think of one goal that you want to have in the next 90 days. This is great because you can control the next 90 days. You cannot control, like I said, the next 586 days. What is one thing that you want to have a basic understanding of, and write that thing down? Figure out, what skill do you want to obtain in the next 90 days? Now, I'm going to have you break this down in 3 phases. First, we're going to talk about your foundation, then acceleration, then refinement. So, first, your Foundation. This is the first 2 months. You need to get a basic foundation on how you are going to gain these skills. So that means every single Monday through Friday, I'm going to sit down at my kitchen table. I'm going to grab me a cup of water. I'm going to put on a timer and I'm going to watch this video or I'm going to do the skill. Build a basic foundation that you can fall on. No matter what happens, you can go back to doing this thing. And when you think of your foundation, I want you to be so specific with it that if you were to write it out and someone was to read it, they can do that same exact thing back. That is imperative for you to do because life is going to happen and you need a solid foundation to fall back on. Next, acceleration. This is the next 3 to 4 months. This is when you've hit the 90 days. This is when you should have a basic understanding. Like I said, going back to the previous goal after 90 days, a basic understanding of the skill. So now we are going to kick it up a notch. What does that mean? Possibly we're going to add another hour. You could split it, some in the AM, some in the PM, possibly even 30 minutes. This is us possibly starting to actually do the skill. So maybe let's say, okay, I wanted to learn about, the stock market. After getting the skill for 2 months, now we're going to actually start putting a little bit of money into the stock market. This can look like you looking up, hey, there's this program near me. They have an 8-week course that I can start doing. Think of acceleration as application. This is that time period, the next 3 to 4 months, where you actually are going to be applying this skill and actually gaining experience in doing this thing. And the next 5 to 6 months is what we are going to call your refinement period. So this is when you are adjusting things. Your foundation, like I said, is supposed to be something that you could fall back on, but your foundation is something that stays in place. With that being said, that means at the same time, on those same days, you are always going to gain knowledge in that skill, whether it's you sitting down at the kitchen table, whether it's you going to the library. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. That is what you are going to do. You need to keep that foundation solid. That is for the first, honestly, 3 to 4 months. When you get to the next 5 to 6 months, that's when you say, hey, I want to change this thing. The reason why I want you to wait 5 to 6 months is because that's enough time for you to really have a basic understanding of the skill, know if you really like it or not, possibly even if you want to switch it or not, and then you can make educated decisions based upon, I'd rather do it at this time than this time. I'd rather focus on this category than that category. So many people prematurely quit things because they don't know how to do it. You're confused about this thing. It's frustrating to you. You don't like it. That's what happens in the beginning. After 6 months, you can give an educated, guess, I guess you could say, if I want to do this thing or not. Do I want to make this choice? Do I not? Let me not say guess. You can give an educated decision. And so that's what I want you to do for the next 6 months. That's the period that you're going to be in. You're first going to be in your foundation, acceleration, then refinement. And like I said previously, if you don't want to do this thing anymore, that's okay. But at least commit to it for 6 months so you can make an educated decision and know, hey, I quit, but I know how to do this thing. And I genuinely just didn't like it, or I genuinely just didn't enjoy it. I didn't quit when it was hard. I didn't quit halfway. I was able to say I tried this thing, I didn't like it, contrary to being like, well, I don't know, it was kind of hard. And always having it in the back of my head, what would life have been like if I would have kept doing it? Because we all see that happen on TV. Somebody gonna post they made $1 million with this skill. Somebody gonna post they open this business. And what you gonna do? I should have stick with that thing. I should have did that thing. Yeah, but you quit prematurely. So, like I said again, for this phase, I want you to think 6 months ahead, not 6 years ahead. Don't feel like you have to commit to this thing for the next 6, 10, 20 years. I want you to mentally feel like you only have to commit to it for 6 months. And you literally can have something on your kitchen refrigerator. Couldn't even think of the word. On your refrigerator and count down the days. Stop making yourself feel like this is going to be for the rest of your life and you can't change this thing. No, let's do a 6 month countdown. And at the end of the 6 months, you make that decision. The next one is money does not care about your feelings. I want a lot of people to understand the reason why you're possibly broke is because you have a broken understanding of money. A lot of people are not financially stable because they have not made one to two choices. In order to become financially stable, you either have to make more money or spend less. Hearing that, it makes sense, right? Duh, I got to make more money if I want to be comfortable or I got to spend less. But a lot of people do not act upon that thing. A lot of people do not understand you have two choices to make. You are not going to be able to be in the middle. There are some individuals that's like, I need to make more money. And to them, what does that look like? That means working more hours. That means me door dashing. That means me Uber Eatsing. I want you to understand you cannot door dash your way to financial stability. it is not going to be able to happen. There are some people that's like, okay, I know I need to spend less. So when I go out to drink with my friends tonight, I'm only going to get one drink. That is not going to make that much of a difference. You literally need to make life changes, and you cannot be in the middle. You have to pick one or the other. And so that means going back to obtaining skills. You need to obtain skills to the point where you can be in a completely different tax bracket. We're not talking about you making $100, $200 more a week. We're talking about you making $1,000 to $2,000 more a month. That is what it's going to take for you to become financially stable. The little bit of money that you have that's helping you barely get by is only going to keep on being the little bit of money that you have that's going to keep helping you get by. You're going to have to work more hours. You're going to have to Uber more, DoorDash more. And if that's the life that you want to live for the rest of your life, I personally feel like eventually it's going to catch up with you, and even that's not going to be enough. But to each his own. Personally, I feel like that's me being in survival mode, and I just can't be like that. So I'm going to give you some action steps you can do and help you hopefully eventually get to somewhat of a financial stability mindset, and then eventually financial stability for real. The first one is you need to run your numbers. You need to figure out how much money you are making and how much money you kind of are losing every single month. Like, what are your expenses and what is your income every single month? Because you need to figure out how much money do you need to survive. There are so many people that's like, I don't have enough money to survive. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. If somebody was to come to you right now and say, hey, if you tell me how much money you need every single month, I'll give you that money, but you have to give me roughly within $50 of what it is. A lot of people would not be able to get that money because you would just give out a random number that wouldn't even be close to how much money you need to survive. And so I want you to at least have that knowledge for yourself, because first and foremost, I think it gives you a better understanding of your finances in general. And then also going back to just getting jobs and just getting into career paths, you can figure out, hey, is this thing actually sustainable for the life that I have? And I think it'll help you make that better decision on, do I need to make less? I mean, make more, or do I need to spend less? The next one I want you to do is cut one reoccurring expense this week. I want you to think about, okay, maybe I'm not going out to eat with my friends. Maybe I'm getting rid of Netflix. Now, this money, I don't want you just to keep in your bank account. I want you to create essentially a glow up fund, kind of a savings. The reason why I don't want you just to put it into your bank account is because you're going to spend it somewhere else and it's going to feel like it doesn't really do much. If you have it in another account, first and foremost, you can build up literally a savings fund, but then also you can see this money build up. There's so many times where you might just say, oh, well, I'm not going out to eat tonight, or I'm not doing this thing. And you don't even notice how much that affects your bank account because you don't have a way to keep track of the times where you say no when you could have said yes. So to be able to do that for yourself, I recommend to cut one reoccurring expense, something that you recurringly often do consistently, and then create a fund for it so that money is allocated to a specific account so you can see it grow there. The next step I want you to do is pick your focus. Pick which mindset are you going to go with. Are you going to spend less? So this may look like for the next 30 days, you are freezing your spending. You are not buying anything unless it is a necessity, unless it is groceries that you have to buy, unless it is gas. You are not buying anything that's not a necessity. Or you can do option two and earn more. This will look like you applying to at least this week or the next 2 weeks, applying to three more higher paying jobs. The good thing about this is this can kind of change your mindset as well, because first and foremost, this will kind of show you where your skills, what kind of jobs can you even apply to. But then also, I think a lot of people will be surprised on how many jobs they can get simply from applying. I think a lot of people always think, oh, well, they're not going to pay me and they're not going to pay me. Sometimes you just applying will make people pay you because other people aren't applying to that job. So do that as well. But if you're telling yourself, I want to make more money, I want to make more money, you need to start applying to jobs in which you are going to make more money. And so you need to pick one. And for the next 30 days, am I not going to really spend anything? I'm going to freeze my account. Or for the next week, recurringly, am I going to apply to three or more higher paying jobs? So I want you to think about that. I want you to think about currently where are you right now with that decision, as far as like, what am I already doing? Am I spending too much, or is it that I don't make enough? Because there are some individuals, honestly, who make a decent amount, but they just spend too much. That's often called a lifestyle creep. Every single time you make more, you feel like you got to spend more. You get more money at your job, you got to get a newer apartment, you got to get this. Or there are some individuals who literally just need to make more money. Like just with the job you have right now, you cannot get by. There's nobody that can do it. It's almost impossible. You're going to be in survival mode. And so you have to make a decision. Do I want to cut back on my spending? Is that going to make me more financially stable? That's why you need to create that expense tracker to see if you can survive like that. Or if you're like, I ran the numbers, I can't survive. Like I did it every way I can. I literally can't survive at this job. And that means you need to get into another one. The next thing I'm going to need you to do is called choose one door. I want you to decide which door do you want to take? Which door do you want to open? Because when you open one door by making a decision, you have to close another. That means when you say yes to something, you have to say no to something else. You cannot say yes to something and then you previously said something yes to something else and now you're saying yes to something else and think that's going to work, because it's not. The reason why a lot of people don't actually achieve their goals, in my opinion, it is because they do not realize that they have opened one door, and every time they say yes to something else, they have to close that door to open another. With that being said, let's say during this time period, you do say, okay, I want to gain more skills. During this time period, I want to focus on this thing. I want to follow that 3 phase period. I want to build the foundation, the acceleration, the refinement. During your foundation, which is why it's so important, you are picking a specific time in which you are gaining specific skills. You are opening a door. You are making a decision. You are saying yes to that. With that being said, anything that makes you close that door cannot be done. You have to have a hierarchy in your responsibilities and your decisions. What is the top dog? That does not mean during this time period you can't do other good things. That does not mean during this time period you can't work out, you can't eat healthy, you can't. I'm not saying you can't do those things, but that means if you have a decision to make because you don't have that much time between focusing on a skill or working out, you have to always pick focusing on that skill. If you have to pick between cooking a healthy dinner and focusing on a skill, you have to pick that skill. And I know to a lot of people, it's like, but working out is good, but eating healthy is good. It's not saying that it's bad. That's the thing though. Stop looking at stuff as being good or bad. Look at it as you open a door, because in order to open that door, you have to close something else. In order to say yes to that thing, you have to say no to something else. And you have to be okay making those decisions as well. And anything and anyone that keeps you from saying yes to what you need to do for these next 6 months, specifically the next 90 days, to gain that basic understanding, gain that basic knowledge, gain that basic skill, you have to say no to them. Because I promise you, people gonna tell you, oh well, you could, focus on that skill a little bit later. You could. People told me all the time, you can't shoot your content later. No, this is the time I'm shooting my content. This time it has to be done. Oh no, you can't just do that tomorrow. No, give yourself this time period. This may mean that you got to miss out on stuff. That's going to happen, but that's because you chose to open this door. There's going to be opportunities that may even seem better. Oh, you can do everybody. As soon as people hear you doing something, oh, you could do this. People love. It's so crazy to me because people who don't even make content be telling me, oh, if you post this and post that, you can go viral. You can make more money. And I just be like, why don't you do that? Like everybody will tell you, especially if they know you doing something and you have a goal, or you could do this. You could always tell people, oh, you could do that. Like that's for you. But I want you to understand during this time period, you have to choose your door. I've had it happen to me before. Have to wake up in the morning and be like, I really, really, really want to go to the gym. I missed the gym yesterday, but I have to shoot this content. That's the hierarchy. Until this content gets shot, I'm not looking into another gym. Do I think health and wellness is important? Yes. Do I think working out is important? Yes. But my hierarchy right now is this content. So pick your hierarchy, pick what door you are going to, and understand that means you have to close other doors. Now, the final step is so important because all of this will not work if you do not trust yourself. I want you to understand you can have the best plan, you can have the best blueprint, all these other things, but you are not going to stay consistent with anything unless you trust yourself to literally commit to these things. Because, like I said, you can't really control the future. You can only control today. So, if your brain does not trust you enough to control for today, it will not even allow you to think about the future. And a lot of people don't understand, they do not have a good relationship with themselves simply based upon the fact that they do not do what they say they're going to do. And this is not just motivation, this is neurological. This is in your brain, and this is how it works. Now, I'm going to explain a theory that was coined by Benjamin Franklin that will explain this a lot more and actually explain the relationship that you have with others to help you get a better understanding of how to build trust with yourself and possibly why you don't have trust in yourself. Benjamin Franklin noticed that if you ask someone to do you a favor, especially someone who doesn't like you, they will actually start to like you more because their brain wants to resolve the cognitive dissonance of why would I help someone I don't like. Instead of admitting they're being inconsistent, the brain rewrites the narrative, I must like them. Now, hearing that doesn't really make sense, right? Like, if you do a favor for someone that you don't like, why does your brain convince you that you like them? So, in that definition, I use the word called cognitive dissonance. And that basically just means a confusion in the brain. That's the most easiest way I can explain it. Your brain is confused because it's like, why am I doing a favor for this person if I don't like them? So, your brain, during that time period, during that gap, it's confused. Why would I do this? Why would I do this? Your brain doesn't like open loops. Your brain wants everything to be explained. So your brain will literally convince you some way, somehow. It could be the littlest thing. I must like this person. Oh, maybe because they did this for me. Maybe because there's a little bit of like, even if you dislike that individual, if you do a favor for them. And so this extends to yourself. When you do things for yourself, you literally are forcing yourself to start to like yourself. And when you, on the opposite end, don't do things for yourself, your brain convinces you, I'm not doing this thing or I'm treating this person badly because I don't like this person. Because it's hard for you to treat somebody badly that you actually like, because your brain is going to be like, why are we treating them bad? That's a confusion. And so people convince themselves. I mean, let's just be completely honest. That man do something to you, what you going to do? You're going to get him back. And what you going to say? Well, I'm doing this because he did it to me. Our brain is always going to convince us there's a reason for us doing this. And so I want to explain to you actually a case study that was used to prove this theory and how it actually works. So, Jecker and Landy performed a study called the Foundational Experiment. So, they used 60 undergrad students. All participants won a small cash prize in a random setup. Then the experimenter asked only some participants to return the money as a favor. Group A was asked by the experimenter himself for a personal favor to return the money. Group B was asked by a department secretary to return the money for it being a favor for the institution. And Group C was not asked for anything. They found later on that students in Group A rated the experimenter as more likable than the other two groups. They came to the conclusion that helping the experimenter directly caused participants to rationalize their behavior by deciding he must be likable, a clean demonstration of cognitive dissonance resolution. So, why did this happen? Why did the students who actually had to give the money back end up liking the experimenter more? Now, it was a small amount of money. Think about it being $5, right? And I know some people here now be like, actually, I would like them less. I would like them less because you had me do this small little thing, whatever, and then now I have to give you the money. Hearing it, yes, you would think you would like them less. But in action, if you think about it, it probably will be the same thing that happened in experiment for you too. Because if someone was to ask you, right, imagine going back to your dorm being like, yeah, they had me do that experiment for 5 to 10 minutes and then they gave me $5 and then the guy gonna ask for it back. What's your friend gonna say? Oh, why you give it back? Imagine you being mad about it. I had to give it back. Why'd you give it back? I mean, he asked for it. Like, what was I supposed to say? No? Your brain doesn't like that cognitive dissonance, that confusion of why would we do that. The same thing that your friend asked you, well, why did you do it when you had a choice, is the same thing your brain says to you. So what does your brain rationalize? You know what? He seems like a really nice guy. You know what? He seems like a really nice person. Literally, you doing a favor, a personal favor for an individual makes you like them more because your brain rationalizes it as, I must like them, and that is why I'm doing this thing, which is why the other two groups, the one that was asked to give it to the institution, right, give it to this institution, it's kind of like it's no connection with it. It's like I don't really like, it has nothing to do with that individual. So no, they're not going to have a great relationship with that individual, because even if they did give the money back, I gave the money to the institution, not this person. So I don't have no feelings towards this person. And the people who didn't give the money back at all, they weren't even asked. It's kind of like, well, I have no connection with that person at all. Besides, they just ran a study. I didn't even notice that person. Oh, that was him. And so I want you to understand this with yourself. That's why doing little things like making your bed in the morning, like cleaning your car, is going to be beneficial in you building a relationship with yourself, because it proves to yourself, I like myself. So many people don't understand why it's hard for them to be consistent. You're looking for motivation, motivation, motivation. You need to build trust. I like myself. You know why I like myself? Because I do little things for I do favors for myself. You need to start doing favors for yourself to prove to yourself that I can do anything I say I want to do. And why? Because I already do everything for myself already. Now, here are the 3 steps that I would give to help with this, to start actually building a relationship with yourself. First, I want to have you create a bare minimum success day. So I want you to write it out. I'm going to wake up at this time. I'm going to make my bed. It needs to be very minimalistic things. And I would say no more than like 3 to 4 things. I really don't, first and foremost, I don't want it to conflict with your skills. Those are 2 different things, but it's just a bare minimum success day. These are the things that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be packing my lunch. Think about things that you possibly struggle with doing. And I don't care how small they may be. It may be picking up something off the ground in your room. Like, do that. The next thing I want you to do is keep track of these things, and I want you to reward yourself every 5 days in a row. I want you to get in the process of recognizing that you're doing those things. Sometimes we get so in the motion of doing things and it just becomes normal for us, and we don't even realize there was a time period where you could not do those things. There's a time period where you didn't brush your teeth every night, you didn't wash your face every night, you didn't like do these things that show yourself, I truly love me and I care about me. And so every 5 days, I want you to essentially reward yourself for doing these things. And I want you to start using the weekends as a reflection period. So every Sunday or whichever is a weekend for you, depending on your schedule, just reflect upon the week. And I always talk about this just as something to look back on and reflect on and just keep track of. But that's another thing as well, going back into looking how far you've come. I want you to start reflecting on these things and being proud of yourself. And this is why I talked about in this section so many micro things, because the problem is we focus on the big things too much, the things that will change our life, the things that will do this. And it's like, you first need to build a relationship with you. And that's why I said, please make sure you check out the first video. This is the second part. I will link below in the caption the first video, but that one really talked about building the mindset necessary. This one wasn't too much mindset. This one was action steps, but that one definitely talked about building the mindset. I forgot the title for it. I think it definitely the first like 3 words is blueprint. So if you search up blueprint, it should be somewhere in there. But I definitely will comment below in the section what the title of the video is. Now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Now, this was a part 2. If you did enjoy this video, I definitely recommend to check out part 1. This one was more so focused on specific action steps of things I'm going to need you to do. The other one was more so focused on the mindset that I want you to have. This is so imperative that if you want to be one of those people that's like, I don't have any accolades, I don't have any successful things that I've done, I don't have any skills, you want to make more money, you want to get into a career, you want to, I literally have given you, and I've had other videos similar to this before, but I've literally given you step by step of what to do in literally 6 months. So there's no, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make more money. You need to gain skills. You need to make yourself an asset to companies, to individuals, to potential customers, potential buyers. That's what you need to do. And if you like this video or any other of my videos and you just want specific things that, you can get to help change your life, I definitely recommend to go below and check out my advice email where you can send out anything that you are specifically going through and you need help with. Also, today at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, I will be having a live again where I will be answering some of you guys' questions. So make sure at the end of the video you sign up for that just to be notified about that. Like I said, I'll be doing those every other Wednesday or so. I definitely will keep you guys updated in my videos and when that's happening. But those lives are dedicated to answering anonymously any specific questions that you have and just me giving advice. It's not as, I would say, breakdownish as these videos, because some of the videos I just briefly read through them. I thought a little bit of stuff and I'm like, all right, I'm giving this. So I'm not probably going to give case studies and everything, but it's going to be a lot more personal. So if you like that, of course, go below and listen to my podcast if you like podcasts or, just audio versions more. My TikTok, I'm trying to think everything I got. And my newsletter. Yep, that's about it. Well, thank you guys so much. Of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also comment below one skill that you are going to be going into, that you are going to be thinking about and possibly doing. Honestly, let's not even take the possible out, because I was trying to be too nice. What is the skill that you are going to be doing? You are committing, you are building yourself as an asset, right? You're making more money. Comment below a skill that you are going to be doing and you are going to have a basic understanding of in the next 90 days. Thank y'all so much and have a great one.